Speaking of the same thing kind of repeated,
Yes.
we decided to watch the second My Hero Academia movie, which just dropped on on Netflix, excuse me.
Netflix, yeah.
You know,
Um,
what's funny is that I was looking at Deku on the right there, and the blue made me think Twitter for some.
Twitter, yeah. Well, it is kind of a similar color there, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, yeah. So the part of the this is of course part of the whole My Hero Academia, movie verse, which seems to be kind of separate from the TV show and the manga.
yeah, it's interesting because the first movie, I believe that the way the creator said is that the characters are canon, but the events might not be,
Mm,
which I think was maybe just a way for him to use the characters how he wanted to in the manga later.
yeah,
Um, this movie is definitely in the vein of a classic Shonen Jump battle manga movie spinoff that has no bearing on the actual plot of the main series.
no, it really doesn't.
Uh, I'd say that the gold standard for the ones we've watched here was that Black Clover movie because
Yeah,
that one did everything right. It had a villain who had a fairly distinctive personality, a clear motive, and he was actually like some sort of mirror on the main character.
yeah, yeah, and this one kind of tries to do that with its villain, Nine. Um, actually he was mirroring uh well, the main villain of My Hero Academia.
All for
Okay,
one.
All for One. Okay, yeah, I always get
Me too. I always have to think hard about.
yeah, yeah. All for One is the bad guy, and then One for All is the good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so it's basically like a prelude of. So this is shortly in the series after, spoiler alert, All Might finally gives up the ghost on his powers, like after his last big push.
yeah, and it also looks like it takes place sometime after, what was it, season 5, I think. Because at the beginning of the episode, or at the beginning of the movie, there's this, high speed car chase that Endeavor stops, and Endeavor has the scar
Oh yeah,
over his eye from the beginning of the season when he got into the battle and he wrecked his eye really badly.
yeah. Um, and what this almost feels like is it's like an apology for the first movie because the first movie's sin in the eyes of a lot of my friends who watched it and were big on the series was that only certain characters got to have any sort of focus.
Yeah,
Like, because because the first movie was basically Die Hard with superheroes, and there were certain characters in the cast who would just have immediately bent the problem over the desk and had their way with it because of their
yes,
powers. To be needlessly graphic about a kids movie, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like when they have to climb up the side of the building, and Sue Froppy would have done that very easily, but no, they had to have Mineta doing it with his
right,
sticky hair.
because that was actually a challenge for him, where for her that would have just been a mild warm up at best.
Yeah,
But yeah, so basically the kids are on an island. They are on their work studies. So they're doing a lot of missions that aren't all that exciting, much to Bakugo's annoyance.
yeah, they're mainly doing mundane stuff, like the kid who with the electricity powers, having to charge up the tractor on the battery on the guy's tractor, and
Hmm.
you know uh, uh, Ida helping the old lady, carrying her around, and yeah,
Yep, just a lot of community support.
yeah,
Uh, it's really the type of thing where it actually makes sense to have your younger, inexperienced heroes do that because it builds up general popular support for superheroing, which given the type of resources that the heroes in that universe are shown to use, and the fact that they are agencies, but they aren't like charging for their services, that makes me think that there must be some heavy taxes to support superheroing in general.
Yeah. Oof.
So you kind of want to make people like you.
Yeah. And
But
plus, it's also character building for the kids.
yep. It's like, yeah, like I said, this is the apology. Every character from the main class is there. Every character from the main class gets moments of varying degrees of coolness,
Yeah.
appropriate to their characters' powers and skill sets.
Right. Yeah. Um, and so I guess the should get to the some of the plot of the movie, or which, as I said, the aforementioned villain he's called Nine, and he's basically borrowing the same powers as All for One, where he steals other people's quirks.
Mhm.
But what happens is he steals the quirk of this one guy. What was the? Oh yeah, cell. It was cell regeneration or cell. I can't remember what it was. Something
Was
like
it
that.
cell enhancement, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Um, and but the when he stole it, and he stole it because the more quirks that he would use, and the more longer he would use them, it would wreck his body. So he
Right.
needed this like ability so that he could keep just using the quirks unimpeded. But unfortunately, the quirk he stole doesn't work with his blood type.
Hmm.
So he has to go to the island where the guy's son and daughter are living, and his son has the same ability, but he has the right blood type. So he's going over there to steal the kid's quirk.
Yep. And our heroes have something to say about that.
Yes.
There's also a subplot where the kids, like the brother and sister, was it the sister who hated superheroes?
He has a sister. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like the plot was them getting over it.
Yeah.
So I'll say that. So I would say every one of these Shonen Jump movies, and I'm gonna like Dragon Ball being a big example. It was always like a echo of something in the series, and so this was basically a way to give people a prelude fight of like Deku versus All for One without actually having him fight All for One.
Yeah.
It's like, eh,
Yeah. And the other part of it, the other kind of subplot in there too, is where with Deku and Bakugo basically putting their differences aside and fighting together.
it's kind of the other big focus, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
because I guess what was another complaint people might have had about the previous movie? You have these two characters who are basically like Bakugo is like the Vegeta, and he and Deku don't really interact in that first movie.
No, they don't. Just I think there was one little part in the at the beginning with the where they were like competing against each other for racing up the uh a mountain, like one of those like rock climbing things.
Yeah, that was like their only scene where they actually did anything together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say this movie is like, like I said, it's an attempt at some fan service. There's a plot line at the end that just really bugged me, though.
Which one?
Uh,
The
but so I think so. Quick non-spoiler thing. If you like My Hero Academia, but you didn't see this movie because you didn't go to see it in the theater at the time and you just weren't aware of it, it is a fine action movie. Just accept that the events in it don't matter. Every character gets to do cool things. It has all the My Hero things that you would want to see them do.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's not they're not reinventing the wheel. It's not doing anything you know fun or crazy or anything like that. It is very much a standard, My Hero Academia story, and yeah, if you're a fan of it, you'll get some enjoyment out of it.
Now, that being said, getting into the spoilers, there's a bit at the end, and this is actually amusingly enough in the photo I found here, that in the
Oh,
opinion of
okay,
my
okay.
friend and the friends that uh, I watched the movie with at the time, uh, is rather lore breaking with the mechanics of One for All.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah. You're referring to when Deku gives Bakugo one for all.
Right. Which, for the, okay, God, I don't know what I'll only bother to explain it just for context,
Yeah.
uh, because like if you actually clicked on this review, you know the series. Uh, but Deku, born with no superpowers, inherits All Might's quirk, uh, One for All, which gives him super strength and later other powers from the people who have had the quirk in the past. Uh,
Yeah.
him being trapped and giving this up to Bakugo to save the day, it would be a bit like if I'm trying to think of like an analogy here. It's like if Luke could grasp Han Solo's hand and transfer all of his force abilities into him, in terms
Yeah.
of how much this would affect the series going forward if it was real.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, don't give Disney any ideas. They might do that with the Ray movie.
Oh no, you're right. but
Sorry.
but it this is like a big deal. Like this is Deku's thing,
Hmm.
and he suddenly is sharing it with Bakugo, and then at the end of the fight, he just gets it back
Yeah.
with no long-term ramifications for either, including like in theory, as Deku is starting to unlock powers that had belonged to previous wielders. If this movie was canon, he would have started, using Bakugo's quirk.
Yeah. Yeah. His explosive sweat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah.
like it feels like something that was come up with because they wanted the scene of the both of them using full cowling together,
Yeah.
like fighting as equals against this threat.
Yeah. Well, and it's similar to the first movie where Deku and All Might are fighting fighting together. Um, which I actually liked that because we didn't ever see that in the show.
Right. Whereas this was just like, again, it felt very lore breaking and very out of keeping.
Yeah.
If this had happened in the actual show, there would have been interesting long term consequences that would have also been kind of lore breaking or show breaking there too, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
they would have at least dealt with it instead of just nope, reset button, boop.
Yeah. Well, it also kind of seems like something they would have done in like season 10.
Yeah, like I said before, this is the prelude to Deku having an actual fight with All for One. So
Yeah.
it is kind of like the animators got bored waiting for season 10 and decided to just go forward with this.
Yeah.
Uh, now on an enjoyment level, I would say that I did enjoy this more than the third movie, which I reviewed a few weeks back.
Oh, the one in where they're Italy.
Yeah, Fake Europe.
Yeah.
Um, and that's because this one is just more of a turn your brain off. You get what you want. They aren't introducing new characters who you're expected to see as being worthy of basically being the stealth main character. It is about Deku and Bakugo, even if some of the events that happen are kind of silly.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like a Dragon Ball fan where you ask them, but wait, how, Emperor Cooler showed up in this movie, but uh, Gohan's hairstyle is wrong. He looks too young. There's no time in the storyline where this could have happened. You just have to go, shh, enjoy the cool fight scene.
Yeah.
Think of this as a what if.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I enjoy this one on the same basis of look, I can have nerd nitpicky issues with the storyline, but shut up. It's cool animation. All the characters get to do cool things, and it's just like a nice superhero story.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Now, if you have a Netflix subscription and are of a mind to watch a Shonen Jump anime movie, I'd watch the Black Clover one first, for God's sakes, because that one,
Yeah.
like, Daniel will tell you, you don't even have to have watched Black Clover to enjoy that one.
No, you don't. Yeah, I went into that movie totally cold, and yeah, I still liked it. Yeah.
Where this one is definitely relying more on the series to boost it up.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, so mixed review, worth a watch if you like the series. If you haven't seen the series, Netflix also has some of the seasons of the show, so give
Yeah.
that a go. You'll probably enjoy yourself.
Yes, indeed.